composition where they did run this sort of style, they actually did play Sett top a couple of the games.
All right, well, pretty quick draft pick here from Cloud9. Blaber going to take Rumble and Nautilus here for Vulcan, you have to assume.
Yeah, so very likely it'll be Viego mid, Rumble in the jungle. Of course, it's going to be a Nautilus down towards that bot side. If you're Golden Guardians, you've got to be banning away Kalista here, right? Like, that is just such an obvious pairing. Nautilus plus Kalista is ridiculously popular. Nautilus obviously pairs well with the Rumble there. Also, Diana jungle, very likely here for Iconic. We saw Closer have an incredible game on it. It is one of the AP junglers that is rising in popularity quite a lot. It has easy go buttons, dash in, snap down the ulti, group them up there. The follow-up can come through from Sett, from the Kalista as well. So Tristana gonna get banned out. I mean, if they're concerned about safety on marksman, you could ban Trist-Ez and leave up the Kalista, feeling like, hey, maybe this is more of an easy marksman to actually attack. And that could be their angle here. We'll have to see where Cloud9 really wants to look to try to punish. And it is going to be support. So they are expecting potentially that this is a solo lane set and going to be willing to spend some bans to try to deny what they believe to be maybe the more powerful pairings. If you want to go another ban towards support on the Cloud9 side, then you're probably going towards something like a Thresh, which is such a strong pairing with that Kalista. And I'm just going to be interested, is this going to be an Ezreal? Is it going to be a Kalista? Those seem like the two most obvious, but they could be thinking something else. Varus, okay.
Yep, another good AD, so can't really ban them all, I guess, on the GG side, so they'll take that one out.
It's interesting, because this is like, there's two schools of thoughts, right? They're clearly thinking about, all right, Varus is going to be annoying because it pairs so well with the Rumble, but I was looking at it more from the point of view of, if you want to draft hard dive, who can you kill? And Varus you could definitely kill with a hard engage comp. So, you know, there's kind of two sides to the coin there. Banning out the Taric as well, very interesting. This is a pretty old school combo that we used to see. You actually pull in the Taric, he starts the Dazzle, he starts the ulti, he gets thrown in with that immunity on top of him. And can work as a pretty aggressive pairing. So Cloud9 definitely feeling pretty confident that it is not Sett support, and in fact they are correct. It will be Alistar plus Kalista being brought in here. Because the Nautilus was already locked, there's no ability to pivot something like a Thresh or whatever that has some pretty nice interactions with those Alistar engages. The Cloud9 going to have to round out their comp, show us their AD. Are they looking more for the dive, more for the aggressive plays, or do they want a marksman that can be self-sufficient, that can play more defensive? If Lucian comes through, I'm thinking it's more likely towards the mid lane than the actual bot. We almost never see it down bot. So maybe just need a little bit more time to discuss. Is it going to be, you know, a Kaisa? Is it going to be an Ezreal? Those feel like the most likely ones.
All right, we'll see how see how Cloud9 want to finish things off, because they do have to make 2 picks here. That's how it works. On the blue side, looks like Ezreal is going to be the one. So the expected result of Lucian into the solo lane has now arrived, most likely.
So it is interesting, right? And I just wonder, you know, will Golden Guardians regret banning out that Varus instead of the Ezreal? The Ezreal does not have good setup for the Rumble, but of course the Nautilus is kind of there to fulfill that job. And Ezreal's going to be tough to dive. And this is a comp that goes one direction on the side of Golden Guardians. The Gnar would just be more of that, all about diving in, all about getting aggressive here. The Alistar plus the Kalista flying in, Sett flying in. The combo of Alistar knocking them all up, then Diana pulling them all together. The clap can follow up from that. The Gnar ulti on multiple members can follow up from that. So it's full hard committing to the dive. But Ezreal can peel back very effectively against this. It's so difficult to actually pin down this champion. So we'll see if they've bit off a little bit more than they can chew with that.
We'll see. Every time I see Diana, I'm like, yeah, but Yasuo though. What if you paired them together?
Would be nice, but Yasuo just not that popular these days, as far as a lot of the lane matchups don't really go his way. You know, when you think about all of the popular bruisers, Yasuo just does not like fighting into bruisers. It's just not generally a good time for him. Renekton mid, something that is incredibly popular already, and super slams Yasuo. So there's some tough matchups, but I do agree the synergy is cool. I'm going to be interested to see how cleanly Cloud9 will be playing here today. Though the Ezreal is hard to actually dive into, you can still just go for people like the Lucian. Lucian is shorter range, doesn't have as much safety as someone like that Ezreal does. You know, Viego and some of these other champions can get caught as well, so that's going to be an interesting one.
I don't know, you got enough dive? You can dive in Ezreal.
That's true.
Especially in this kind of comp, right? Zven's mostly self-reliant as far as safety goes, doesn't have something like a Tom Catch in the back pocket, right?
Yep.
The rest of his team's going to want to dive in most likely, so going to be left to his own devices in a lot of cases, which is a good spot to leave Zven. He is very reliable, but it's possible. I've seen it.
It is possible. We did just see it not work out against Tactical earlier today. It was very tough to get in on top of him. As you said, he did have the Tom Kench. The way that you kind of peel for the Ezreal is just different in this game, right? It's you're dropping down Equalizer, the Nautilus ult, the Nautilus CC, all of that sort of stuff here is kind of what you're looking towards, and going for the blind hook, worth a shot. Not going to find it, and no one has a sweeper on Cloud9's side, so they won't actually be able to knock that down. That's cute. You know, something I hadn't really necessarily considered is maybe this was a play off of the potential delay of getting to lane from the Kalista binding. But they actually didn't throw down that binding immediately. Stixxay waited till after Chime had gone down to ward. And the Pro View matchup, while we're talking a lot about that bottom lane, is going to be between Zven and Stixxay. That is the free one for this game. There's a free one for every single game, so you can tune in. It's definitely been a lot of fun for me to watch so far.
And like I said in the last game, bottom lane preview is 1/4 of support preview. You don't watch as much, but you get a little bit. You know, if you're curious about 2v2s in bottom lane, you get something. Alrighty, well, Stixxay and Chime back down to the bottom side. We'll see how this goes. Typically, Kalista likes to play into Ezreal because you feel like you can get aggressive. The 2v2 overall feels a little bit flatter because both these champions, especially Alistar, isn't particularly good in lane, but we are starting to see a bit more Kalista in part as a response to Ezreal. So I'm curious to see if Stixxay and Chime can make something happen early, as Perkz is the top laner now.
It's a lane swap.
Ah!
Perkz has been talking all the time about his top lane and always telling Alfari that he's dodging him in the top lane. So fun to see him bringing this out, and did get a really good early trade onto AblazeOlive. I think he was probably camping try and then just poked down Ablaze as he is walking through. So it's, you know, it is a double lane swap, right? Because they actually lane swap to match it. So very likely Golden Guardians saw that Perkz was going up there, then moved Ablaze to actually match. It is pretty interesting. I'm not sure actually who made the first move, but very clearly someone is trying to dodge these matchups, and someone's trying to chase him down, and we'd have to kind of like look back and actually see who made that first move and who had vision on it.
Yeah, so this is, I guess, like both teams have one range and one melee champion in these solo lanes. So you do want, you know, you probably want one of your ranged against one of the melee, because I don't think you want melee into Sett if you're Fudge. But I guess we'll see. As Solo getting in there in the mid lane, Gnar chunking down Fudge quite low there.
Looking pretty good. Does have the push here as well. Which will give Iconic that additional bit of safety if he wants to go down towards that bottom side scuttle. It's very clearly going to be, you know, bot side scuttle in the favor of Golden Guardians. They have this really powerful bot lane. They have the pushing mid right now, and Cloud9 have the push up in top with this Lucian trying to bully out that matchup. And it's actually, they're looking for a dive. So will they actually TP up here potentially? Because he's actually skipping camps to run straight up towards top. Maybe expecting a potential gank there from Iconic, or just calling it off. I mean, it's not a huge investment that they did. He did skip the Gromp to actually go straight up there, so he will be down a camp here, just temporarily. Of course, it will delay the respawn of it. Not too big of a deal, but just interesting to see the move, and then it gets called off. Oh, does he actually get the kill?
Oh, calculated. Blaber knows. Definitely got some of the strongest pathing in the league, as you'd expect from the two-time MVP, and I guess the defending MVP of this split as well. Fudge is having a unfun time, but he is farming just fine up against the Gnar. Whereas AblazeOlive is also having an unfun time, but he's not farming quite as well. Although, hilariously, the CS values do still match up, because even though they swapped, the expected lane is still in the right spot. So that's nice.
Yep, absolutely. I mean, it can be really difficult to actually farm very much early as the Sett. He is fleet, so was expecting this matchup, is going to try to sustain through it. Viego could be very difficult to actually really punish in lane. Of course, Solo did have the push, did get the early advantage in the trading, but there's just a ridiculous amount of sustain on this guy that, you know, once he gets access to the wave, Qs the minions, gets the double hit, the heals that come through from that are just so big. And he's using the Shroud pretty effectively as well, just trying to deny that third hit of the Hyper so you don't give him that passive hit.
All right, bottom side, there is someone in the bush. It's Chime and Stixxay, seeing if they can bait Vulcan and Zven in, but
I don't think you want to fight into the minions.
Also true. Whole wave there. Vulcan's like, yep, where are you going? And back to tower is the answer for Stixxay and Chime, as they will chill out. Fudge is going to go pretty far back here into the fog of war to try and get this recall off, but does have his teleport if he wants to use it. Needs to get back quickly. Played his steel caps right away, so definitely understanding some of the trouble early on in this matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he knows no matter what solo laner he's matching, steel caps are pretty good, right? You know, you're going to be going up against Sett, you're going to be going up against Gnar. It's going to be pretty valuable. Of course, there is a lot of physical damage, auto attack based damage as well from the Kalista. So now that he TP's back, your job is to try to lock the Gnar in lane. You're trying to actually keep him from getting a really good recall here. So Fudge wants to be able to maintain control here, try to force Solo into a position where he has to base when he's going to actually lose farm. Doesn't want Solo to just get the push and get that free recall, and we'll see if he's going to be able to do that, as Blaber should have been spotted on that ward. If he went through that brush, that is one of the reasons that I'm not certain he went through the brush. It did look like it. But that's one of the reasons that when you're watching elsewhere on the map as a jungler, you want to actually A-move through. Because if you walk past a brush that has a ward in it, your character just stops and naturally starts attacking that. So that's one of the reasons I really like to use A-move when I'm watching other lanes, so that if I do pass over one of those pick wards, don't even have to notice it. Character just does the work itself.
All right, well, still there for what it's worth. Blaber's actually busy with the Scuttle Crab while Iconic finishes off the Dragon. Pretty swift, but Diana pretty good at taking objectives by herself, so more than happy to just clear that one away. It has been quite a lot of farming back and forth between the two junglers. You can see the evenness of their CS scores reflecting that, but other than I can't be too upset with a more relaxed early game.
Yeah, I think they're going to be feeling pretty comfortable about their position. You know, they've got to be confident in their ability to play these team fights out. And Perkz just going for the culling, wants to fully reset the wave, wants to get the base out, but they're looking mid.
Good roam here. Onto Solo they go. Fudge does get the follow-up stun, but Vulcan can't find anything else. Fudge doesn't pop the ulti, and Solo gets away after transforming. Pretty straightforward for him.
Yeah, just not enough damage to really follow through, right? The only buy has been those tabbies, so not exactly super threatening.
Oh, here we go again. Equalizer down on Chime this time, but not enough for the Alistar. Despite Chime not having ulti, he just kind of walks away from that one.
Yep, does have the Aftershock though, so very likely just pop that right away. Be able to walk out no problem. They do get the push, they do get the reset. And it's not the biggest deal. The Rumble Equalizer already a quarter down, but in goes AblazeOlive.
Flashing straight on him, gets the ulti down as well. Still slowing him down, but Perkz does have the flash. This is going to be a tough one for Golden Guardian to pull off, and indeed Perkz doesn't even need the help of Fudge that was coming.
Yeah, nice attempt from AblazeOlive. He tried to dunk Perkz towards Iconic, so Iconic could actually close the gap, and if he was able to get in there, would have been able to potentially take him down. But Perkz really calm play, not actually panicking, realizing all the abilities have been used. I'm not actually in threat of dying here. The E is not going to come back up, so just plays it safe, walks it out, holds on to that flash.
Yeah, and AblazeOlive had to use his to set up that play, so he's going to be down a summoner for quite a while. They do at least get some initiative here on this Rift Herald, so Solo's going to go ahead and take that down. Although Fudge and the rest of the squad are roaming up here. Blaber's ready, no ulti on the Rumble, but should be enough here. Perkz also TP'd back now, feeling pretty strong. The Rift Herald's going to go down, but what is it going to cost them? Good ult there from Solo, but Iconic going to be first spotted by Perkz. Everyone's piling in there. Blaber already low, but not dead just yet, as Fudge is able to take down AblazeOlive, and now the resets can continue. There's the ulti. Oh, very nice from Stixxay, pulling away Chime to safety, but the Q's not enough there for Zven, as Chime does get away. Just one kill for C9.
Yeah, just the one kill, and had he got the Alistar, it actually would have been pretty big. Well, two, I guess, because they killed the Diana earlier, but had he got that Alistar, he could have actually potentially comboed onto Stixxay with that, and maybe got even an additional kill. So that ultimate coming through just in the nick of time there for Stixxay. But Cloud9 does go 2-0 on the play. They should be able to grab that Rift Herald for themselves. Or no, did GG pick it up first?
They didn't get the Herald, but I don't know if they picked it up.
They should have picked it up. I mean, they're right on top of it. So they should have secured this. Let's see if they actually did pick it up. Yeah. I think it got grabbed right there by Solo. So they are able to grab that, but Perkz coming in here. They get the kill onto Perkz. Blaber barely survives there, and Perkz is able to grab the first blood. Then Chime, I mean, that last little bit of damage they needed to actually get the kill would have been so big, because then you get the reset. At the very least, you force the flash out of the Kalista, and the ult over the wall.
Yeah,
not quite hitting.
Blind attempt, didn't get the path Chime was going. A good angle, right, but completely blind, so does just have to guess, and a 4G for Blaber guessed wrong.
I like the attempt because a lot of people actually go for those lazy recalls where you just go a little bit behind the tier 1. You just start up the recall, not expecting anyone to go for the chase. Chime there, though, knowing that it could be the possibility of the chase. does back it all the way up, doesn't end up going down as a result, so good on him, but they're going to have to get a very high value Herald to even out what happened there for them, as Cloud9 solo laners really the recipients of a lot of that gold and are going to be sitting in a really, really good spot. You know, the expected value is only those 2 plates for the Herald, so Cloud9 already got so much more. Unless Golden Guardians can get a kill into a full turret take or something like that, it's going to be very, very C9 favored.
Yeah, up 1,600 gold already for Cloud9 as Zven's going to ult the wave because Blaber is sneaking into the brush once again. Iconic's here though, so it will be a 3v3. Zven trying to bait them in, but Blaber thinking maybe a little bit better of it. Doesn't want to give up the players. Perkz and Solo fighting. Perkz with the culling. Not quite connecting, but he dashes away to safety. Solo diving in, though. Does find the hop. Great slow there. And Solo now going to look for the all-in. Solo kill under the tower. Is going to find it with the ulti, but the trade is there for Perkz.
Gets the kill. It is the 1-for-1, though. Both ultis, both flashes used. So nicely done there by Solo. Just barely didn't have the damage to actually get the kill earlier. That hyper passive, the W passive, actually expired off of Perkz when he went in, so he had to get that additional 3rd hit instead of it just being that 1 hit to proc the 3rd, as he already had the first 2. And that meant he had to go down under that tower. Didn't look like he's actually playing Triumph, so doesn't have the Triumph heal and doesn't survive the tower shot.
Yep. Cannot have Triumph with the current rune setup. He's got
True.
bonus red secondary runes with Grasp, so unfortunately for him, only option was to trade the kill, but he'll be typing worth there to Perkz in the all chat. Perkz probably doesn't care at all. Riftchild charge in the mid lane does get some value, but again, the expected value only 2 plates as Golden Guardians will at least use some of that tempo to take this dragon.
Yeah, and it should be theirs for sure. Perkz is top side. He has no TP. There's no indication that they actually want to challenge for this. Kalista is giving them that prio on the bottom side. You expect to be able to stack dragons when you do draft for Kalista, but they're not really very ahead. You know, the Ezreal is doing fine. Zven is very close as far as the farm does go. He's already got the Divine Sunder completed, so it's been like a slight pressure advantage that has resulted in the 2 dragons for Golden Guardians, but nothing incredible.
Stone coming in. Oh, missing that one. Oh, great hop there for Solo. Gets the ulti into the wallop, and now AblazeOlive is here. Perkz is going to be the target. Pulls back with a face breaker. Blaber here, though. It's more C9 ready, but AblazeOlive is going to get the first kill. Solo, though, going to be burnt down by Rumble, and it looks like 2 here. Great flash out of AblazeOlive as his team is reinforcing. So at the end of the day, just a 1-for-1.
Now, Cloud9 going for a very aggressive move there. Looked like they wanted to threaten the dive, but I honestly don't see a world in which you can pull off that dive. 2v1 on a full HP Gnar who's going mega. So to me, then it becomes, okay, well, it's more about baiting the TP. It's more about the eventual play afterwards. Cloud9 did get the TP to come through. They back off. They had the faster roam from Vulcan. So in the end, it's still a play that's positive for them.
All right, well, Cloud9 again holding on to the same gold lead they've had. Golden Guardians at least can lean on the dragon. In this particular game, Iconic did take the first one, about 6 minutes 15, so they will very quickly ramp up to the Infernal Soul if they can secure the next 2 dragons, or a little away from that 3rd one spawning.
Absolutely, but that 3rd one is kind of where your eyes immediately are going, right? This is one of those situations, again, where one team has tried to go for gold, the other team has tried to go for dragon stacking, and as a result, Cloud9 are just trying to prep for this 3rd fight. Here it is one more time. I mean, the minions are in the way, but even if the stun hits, I just see no way that you're actually pulling off a dive on a full HP Mega Gnar with this 2v2. So I'm kind of assuming then that Cloud9 were looking more for the follow-up play because Vulcan is here, Blaber is here, they have the much faster move, so maybe trying to bait that TP, trying to bait a little bit of that overchase and make the play happen. Either way, it does end up being the 1-for-1. They force a little bit more summoners, so slightly in their favor, plus denying some of the minions as well, as Solo has to kind of focus on dissuading the dive and not farming up those minions.
All right, well, Mythics are starting to get completed on almost every champion here. We got dueling rocket belts out of the AP junglers. You love to see it. Double Divine Sunder on C9 side alongside the Kraken Slayer. And then Shield Blow dump for Stixxay, but I can't imagine Golden Guardians are too far away from finishing their other 2 in this game as well. So, 2 minutes 30 now until the Dragon is available for the taking. Kalista pretty happy to be standing in front of neutral objectives and chucking spears into them. So I imagine Cloud9 are formulating a plan to make sure this Dragon goes away.
Absolutely. I mean, you are expecting them to go for this Dragon to not just give over a very early soul point, because Infernal is one of those kind of primo dragons that people really want to fight for, and despite the fact that Cloud9 is ahead, they would not be comfortable just giving away a free soul. Perkz still on top side.
seen this play a lot. Right?
Yeah.
Just letting the Cullen go.
I mean, honestly, it's pretty valuable.
Yeah.
Just as kind of a trading tool, it does so much damage. If you can get a decent culling, it really just kind of gives you authority in the lane, gives you the ability to push, and now trying to threaten a dive here again.
Oh, getting 1v1-y. Oh, Blaber, you got the kill. Rockabout coming in. Blaber, they're getting low. Iconic with the pullback on the ulti. He's going to grab it now. Chime looking for Vulcan, but Stixxay also coming up in reserve.
And this one was not a good 1-for-1 because it's actually both flashes down from Cloud9. They do just trade even on the kills there. It seemed like a little bit of a split decision. You know, do they want to fully commit to the dive? It seemed like Perkz was kind of trying to back off. Blaber was kind of trying to go in. And they're going for these risky moves.
Good hook there, but Iconic going to move out of the way. Does burn his flash, though, as here comes Viego up for the team fight. Chime, ulti still actually holding it, but didn't need to pop it there. So holds on to ult and summoners, but Perkz in the extension is looking for this tower in topside, so Solo's going to TP to try and save it. Not a lot left in the health bar of that particular structure, and still first tower gold is available, so that's definitely a pressure point Perkz can look off of as we'll watch this one again.
Yeah, they're just going for such aggressive plays. I mean, he poked him down a little bit with the culling, and then just straight onto Solo. And this is the hesitation I'm talking about. You know, maybe it's better if Perkz just kind of commits forward and actually gets that kill there, then Blaber does not need to flash in. Yes, Perkz would die doing that, but if you're already going to be giving up for a 1-for-1, maybe it's not worth spending the additional flash. Of course, that is somewhat debatable because then Perkz got to push in again, get a little bit more chip damage. And that's kind of the untold story, is that, yes, these dives have not really been working that well, but they have been kind of whittling down the tower, and it has always been trades.
Equalizer again. Solo, though, going to flash out of it this time. But this tower should be forfeit as a result. 10 seconds till the Infernal Dragon, by the way, and there's 3 people, including the Cloud9 jungler, up in top lane.
I guess they're just going to give. They're just going to try to trade for Herald, take that tower, try to get 2 towers, essentially, for the Dragon. If you could expect to knock down 1 with this Herald, we'll see how heavily they want to continue committing to this push, but it will be Golden Guardians moving to Soul Point. And this is a pretty risky move here for Cloud9, just not feeling confident that they can take the 5v5 right now. It has just been non-stop going at Solo. And this is one of the things that people kind of talked a lot about with Solo versus Niles, is that, you know, Niles in a lot of these situations where he was getting focused would kind of constantly die to these ganks. Every time they're killing off Solo, it has been at the expense of one of their lives. It's been at the expense of a lot of resources. Multiple members have to go up there. He's very good at playing weak side.
Ooh, Chime getting in there. Pops the ulti, gets the double pulverize, and now Vulcan in a bit of trouble. Iconic looking for the kill. AblazeOlive, though, will finish it as he face breaks onto Vulcan.
Nicely done there. They get the play, killing off Vulcan. Does cost a little bit as far as the summoners are concerned, but Golden Guardians playing pretty confidently here. And despite the fact that, you know, Cloud9 do have good scaling, right? You have double marksman, Viego skill.
Oh, he's at it again. AblazeOlive now found Blaber. W is not going to connect. Going to have to flash choke because Zven's reinforcing, and the equalizer was right there on top of Sett.
Yeah, the equalizer slow is nasty. If you have to try to walk through that, there's just no chance you're getting out of there before those additional members do come through. Cloud9, for sure you got to fight for the next dragon. Maybe they just felt like, okay, we need to have 2-item power spikes. You know, maybe you feel that the opponent's team has stronger spikes on 1 item. You know, Ezreal is generally about 2, Lucian is generally about 2 as well. So potentially just kind of waiting for that. You can see that the tier is fully stacked now for Zven, so he just needs the gold to actually complete his item, and he will have that infamous 2-item power spike on the Ezreal, and then we'll see what they can get done. But I'm never a fan of giving up 3 straight. You know, it's just so risky because now all it takes is 1 pick, 1 smite steal, you know, 1 poor setup, and you lose the permanent power of that Infernal Dragon. You know, Cloud9 are playing a fine game, but Golden Guardians is the last place team in the league. They are looking very, very competitive here against Cloud9, and I actually prefer their position. Yes, they're down a bit of gold, but you'd always rather have the 3 dragons than 1k gold. You know, it just really hasn't.
I can see why Perkz wants to play top lane, by the way, because Blaber comes up here a lot. Perkz is just constantly trying to pressure Solo. I mean, Lucian is good in the side lane, so I think I see Cloud9's plan. I do agree with you that the plan should not have involved not fighting for the 3rd dragon, but we'll see what happens, because Cloud9, that is at least what they have committed themselves to now, whether they like it or not. Mid tower goes down, though. Good Herald play there from Cloud9, but here comes AblazeOlive. Stridebreaker gets 4 for the slow, and Vulcan's going to get picked off instantly.
Nicely done. Another pick there, trying to punish the tower take Cloud9 for that third dragon, they took one tower and they grabbed the Rift. So they do make good on their 2 towers for that dragon trade eventually, but it cost them another kill. They're just not extending the gold in the way that they want, right? They're trying to play heavily through gold. They're trying to play heavily by ganking Solo and attacking him nonstop and creating a massive advantage up there. And he is down, but he's down 12 CS and really not that much more. Yes, he lost his tower, but it was the investment of constant attacking up to that top side. So I think Solo has done a really, really good job for the most part. You know, Perkz is quite a bit ahead, so we'll see if he can actually carry in some of these team fights, because they are going to have a really good performance, and it's going to be difficult for Perkz, who won't have his flash critically for this next fight. When that summoner is down, you look at Iconic, you see flash on him, you see flash on Chime. You realize you could just get flash ulted and immediately go down.
Really good timing, by the way, for Stixxay's 2-item power spike. It's one of the nice things about Kalista, right? Her items are a bit cheaper, but Hurricane is going to be online here alongside the Shield Bow in a minute's time when this Infernal Soul is available for Golden Guardians. AblazeOlive will have his ult back up, so he can look to make the play. In fact, his flash might make it. It's going to be close, but Solos will be back up as well. So Perkz really going to be the only one kind of out of resources. Vulcan as well also doesn't have his flash right now. But unfortunately, because of Hex Fudge, I don't know how close it is to coming back up. But we'll monitor that because Golden Guardians are going to force Cloud9 into a tough situation. They will force them to fight in 45 seconds.
There's the Murmana, though, just in time for Zven. So he grabs that. They hit the 2 items on him. There's 2 items on Perkz. Jungle and top aren't going to hit that 2-item mark, of course, but they do have stopwatches on both sides. So both these junglers knowing this is an incredibly important fight. And right now, it's actually the setup that's a lot better for Golden Guardians. You know, it's their vision across the map here. There's no forward wards, really, for Cloud9, and they're trying to get control of mid lane, then move from mid lane down into bottom river. AblazeOlive isn't here right now, so Cloud9 should have prio in this bottom river. We'll see if they can figure it out. Solo just trying to charge up that Gnar bar. He doesn't want to mega out before the fight, but he wants to stay high enough that there's always the threat of the instant transform.
Yeah, rage management, very important. I guess not a Rumble because he has heat management.
Oh,
good hook, though.
them.
Chime is the target. Ulti is popped, though. Vulcan already pretty low. Solo also finding the flank. Stride breaks in. Looking for the scoop. Finds 2 back in. But the Fate's Call does not connect for Chime instead. He grabs the double pulver. AblazeOlive, though, gets alley-ooped into the face breaker. And Golden Guardians, they found their one pick, but it was pretty costly.
It was, but Iconic still does have his ult. He never got to use it in that fight. I wonder if he could not actually flash into the backline there. If there had been more follow-up on Solo's play, potentially they could wipe him, but maybe he was zoned out.
Oh, AblazeOlive again, straight onto Zven. Now they turn it back onto Perkz. Stixxay finds a snipe. TP back in, though, for Solo. And oh my god, Chime, he's found the double pulve. Blaber's going to be forced out. That's Infernal Soul for Golden Guardians.
They get it all. They get the kill. They get the dragon as well. And they are now on Infernal Soul here. Cloud9 not able to take down anyone as multiple members for them went down. Vulcan in the initial play. Perkz dies later on. We can watch this one more time. I wasn't sure how it was going to go for Golden Guardians after the initial follow-up wasn't really there. The equalizer was pretty well placed to actually zone out Iconic. Iconic used the E onto Vulcan, but this is where I kind of question, why not flash ult, you know, right there? If you had actually gotten that immediately onto the target that were Mega Gnar'd back towards you, that feels like a one fight immediately. Either way, they get the initial kill onto Vulcan. And then Cloud9 trying to push forward here. They force out the flash on Iconic. They start up the dragon. But Gnar just bases, TP's back in. AblazeOlive with a great engage on his Zven. He's pushed out immediately. Perkz is sectioned off because Fudge and Blaber are working on the dragon. Ezreal can't help him. Your support is coming out of base. So just a really good engage there from AblazeOlive, finding the moment. As soon as they are separated, you must go. And despite some impressive damage numbers here from the Cloud9 side, you know, Zven landing a tremendous amount. They lose the fight, they lose the Infernal Soul, and they're in a world of trouble.
One of my favorite little details there is that Blaber's ulti would have been so much better on anything other than Infernal Rift.
Yeah.
Because actually the space there gave, I think, 2 different carriers on Golden Guardian space to walk around it, where normally that is a money choke for any sort of big ultimate. It's
a really good point you bring up, right? And that can change the way you play in some of these circumstances, right? If that's a Mountain Rift, for example, Rumble becomes even more powerful. There's these additional corridors that are created. And that's something that you always kind of have to keep in mind. Do you want to drop the equalizer early? Or do you want to wait until people are actually locked into a Nautilus ultimate where they cannot spread out and escape it? And Cloud9 went for that early one, not able to execute. And yes, the gold is still even, so there is potential to win, but you're more reliant on the initial picks now because Infernal does not give durability, it gives offensive power. So if you can catch someone out and burst them down, that can still be just as easy, but of course the extended fights gets very difficult as everyone, Alistar included, is getting the benefit of this additional damage.
Yeah, and I think Golden Guardians can probably feel a bit more confidence to press forward. They have the Soul now, which they'll have forever. Battle Song has been finished for Chime, so you know, the team that already wanted to dive forward as 5 can now do that even easier. AblazeOlive, I agree, has been excellent so far, finding angles on the set. So solo with the Gnar, and Stixxay set up 301, 500 extra gold, 3 items done for the Kalista. I mean, man, it's ready to fight.
Absolutely. And if you had any questions about what they want to do, look at the mythics, right? Double Stridebreaker, Proto Belt, it's the Shurelya's Battle Song. It's all the go forward, run at 'em style of items they're coming through.
They're trying to go no Gale Force. It's not good, don't do that on Kalista.
Yeah, should have got a Stridebreaker.
Yeah. There you go. That's the bruiser item you need on Kalista.
Exactly. All right, now Golden Guardians, time to set up around this topside river, secure the vision up here. Chime, you are squishy with the Shurelya's Battle Song. That is something you got to be really careful about, as kind of took a little walk back through that equalizer, down very low. You know, it is something that people will debate. I mean, if you lose with this, people will be like, should have got the Locket, right? Because Locket has insane value against Rumble plus Nautilus as far as all the magic damage there, but clearly they value more highly the ability to engage, the ability to speed up, not just to get you in, but to help get your teammates into those fights as well.
All right, well, Iconic and Stixxay staying grouped here, trying to find a fight. A little late potentially here because the rest of Cloud9 are sitting around this Baron area. So Perkz looks like he's on his lonesome, but there's so much Cloud9 vision here in this river that this is not that safe for Golden Guardians right now.
Yeah, I mean, it just depends. Do you think you can win the fight, right? I think Golden Guardians are feeling pretty confident to win that fight right now. They have 4 members up on the top side. They can see Viego down on the bottom side. So, you know, Viego's here. You know, you have this kind of like line of control around here where you have 4 members up towards that top side. So the worst that can happen is a 4v4. And if you think you win the 4v4, great.
All right, well, Golden Guardians now have done the work, pushing into the enemy jungle, taking down the vision. Fudge is going to be adhered to this side lane for probably quite a while here, is doing some decent damage, but AblazeOlive will go back and make sure to save the tower. Both of these side laners do have teleport right now of note, so they can easily get to the fight if one will break out. But it is going to be a lot about, you know, who gets the jump and finds the good angle in the team fight here.
And I think if Golden Guardians aren't willing to threaten the Baron with like an early startup, and they may do that right here, I was going to say, this doesn't matter. They are starting it and just stacking those spears. So Cloud9 saw them walk in, but you're never certain if they're actually on it or not, and now they are. They spot it with the blue trinket. Viego and Rumble pretty far off, though. They're going to have to actually get up here, and Solo has Mega almost available. It's going to be a difficult approach.
Oh, that's a good one onto Iconic there from Vulcan. Damage is being done. There's Viego popping into the backside of the fight. Stixxay already down as Perkz dives into it there. And Fudge is going to take the next one now. The Viego resets begin as Cloud9 just running over Golden Guardians in this fight. They found it. They got them at the Baron, and Cloud9 are going to find almost an ace, and they'll get the Baron as well.
Golden Guardians, they choked it at the Baron. They were looking so good for most of this game. And then trying to make it happen at the Baron here, and that equalizer just ruined the whole game for him.
There's Baron, and Solo is probably going to be the delayed ace as well. Ooh, nice little TP. Cancel, not there. Ooh, it did. Fudge must have got it there. Perkz is going to find the Bud Light ace, and Cloud9 are going to turn the game around.
Yep, he just flung that bad boy over the wall, connects with the Gnar. I saw he had the line, and guess what, Pastry? Once you're teleporting, there's no dodging. So,
yep,
going down. Here it is one more time. They started up. I like the start. Unfortunately for them, Iconic is tanking it. And it's not the Alistar, right? The Alistar is not a tanky build. Iconic is taking all this damage. And then look at the execute. They just got destroyed by that equalizer. Blaber, perfect placement on this one. We were talking about the earlier placement.
Ooh.
And out of this, it gets even worse. They got Elder now. Who cares about Infernal? Infernal Soul, that's just a budget Elder Dragon. You don't need that. Get that out of here.
All part of the plan for Cloud9, huh? Well, looking good right now. At least they're up 6K and counting with the Red Bull Baron buff here. Solo moves back down and maybe try and make a play. They still have some engage angles, but going to be tough with Cloud9 knocking on the door of your inhibitor towers.
And critically, no teleports, right? So no real way to actually just like run straight at him and get the engage. When you are playing with Gnar, when you are playing with Sett, it relies very heavily on flash and flanks.
Oh goodness, Perkz just this time letting the con rip for good reason, because so easy for him to grab kills with the execute damage. Vulcan looking good with some of these hooks here, but doesn't connect that time. As C9 actually just going to go for the end here. Stixxay in trouble. Oh my goodness. Ultis would have killed him. Equalizer might still do it. Oh, he does flash out of the way. Stun lands on the Iconic from Fudge's charge up, and now the Nexus is closer to expose. Vulcan going in. Toll finds a pretty big scoop, but I don't think they can get through the Elder. Go back in for AblazeOlive there. The damage is decent, but Perkz is still alive, and I think that's going to put an end to it all as C9 just do not get pushed back. That's going to be yet another ace out of Cloud9 as Stixxay is hopping madly, trying to make it happen, but Golden Guardians will be defeated by Cloud9 off of back-to-back big buffs.
They're gonna get the win at the end of the day. It wasn't the most dominant victory here from Cloud9, but they were so decisive once they had those super buffs, once they got the Baron, they got the Elder, they knew they had the ability to close out this game. It is hard commit to one lane, screw the split push. They knew Golden Guardians was not in a position to fight. They had a massive gold lead at that point. You have Elder, you have Baron, force them to fight you, and the way to do that is attacking those Nexus towers. So Cloud9, well played around the Baron. They're gonna come away with this victory here on Zven's return. It will be a successful one, but that being said, this is the last place team in the league, and this was a very close game. This was Golden Guardians' win to have, I think.
Yeah,
definitely. And they really dropped the ball at the end. They were doing so well through most of it. You know, got the Infernal Soul in a good spot, and they just got destroyed by Blaber at that Baron. That equalizer really changed the game.
Yeah, I mean, Golden Guardians, like, at least they can look at it, okay, pretty obvious what happened, right? They just needed to play a little bit better around that Baron, and I think that's pretty easy for them to recognize and fix. They're a team that is still, you know, growing and learning as a team, and they are definitely improving. This is a good showing up against Cloud9. For Cloud9, I almost wonder, like, was the game plan just like, oh, we'll wait for them to make a mistake, which may be a reasonable game plan in this matchup, but you cannot do that against the top teams.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, right? I think once they hit a certain point where they kind of lost control of the game, maybe it becomes that, and they're playing more towards side lane. They're trying to extend their gold advantage. They're trying to get to a point where they feel comfortable to fight, and maybe wait for that mistake, to your point. The early game, though, they were proactive. It just wasn't really working, right? How many times did we see them going up towards solo?
Just constantly chain gank.
Yeah, I mean, there's like three. It's like a 3v1 against solo up in that top lane, and they did get the kills on him. They did eventually take down the tower, but it cost them every time, right? And it was because those early plays weren't that successful. And when you're going exclusively towards top and you're not blowing the game open, you're sacrificing something. And in this case, you're sacrificing all the dragons, which allowed Golden Guardians to get towards that Infernal Soul, right? And you're hoping as Cloud9, all right, we're 4K, we're 5K ahead. They're almost at Soul, but we're going to slam them in the fight. And it just didn't happen. So, you know, once all of that has kind of fallen apart, then you are kind of just like, well, hope they mess up.
Yeah. And I guess we'll see, you know, how Cloud9 evolve as a team. They have like the luxury of being able to play to any lane, right? They have stars in every role. Like, at some point, it's almost tough to be like, like, how should Cloud9 play the game ideally? Because it kind of depends on who's having a good day. And Cloud9 had an okay day across the Rift, right?
Yeah, and I think that's where they really need to improve, though. It's like you say, it's depending on the day, because we're having such variance in how they're performing, right? And if you want to be getting that title, if you want to be, you know, winning the summer split here, that's what they need to work on, is the consistency, right? To be able to execute on these plays time and time again, to be able to consistently nail any game plan that they want to set out, right? Your game plan should not have to depend upon who's going to be good today, right? It should be based on your draft. It should be based on your win conditions. It should be based on your matchups. And that's what they're going for here. I mean, they're trying to abuse this Lucian matchup on the top side, but they just didn't necessarily execute on the dives. And I think Solo is really deserving of a lot of credit, you know, even in the loss. It is really hard to be impactful in a game where you are constantly attacked. constantly attacked. And I think he had another good performance, right? Like, he has been, for me, a standout for Golden Guardians, but unfortunately, it's in another loss.
Yeah, well, Cloud9 do pick up the win, and with that, we are heading into a break. But when we return,